Good evening, fellow members, friends, and dignitaries alike. Bienvenue. That is French for ahla wa sahla. And for those of you who only speak English, Mike and Ellen from H&R Block, that's welcome in English. I know I could have simply said it that way, but I figured, no, it's expected. And wanted to start with a little bit of light humor because I know when Mr. Sharafoddine comes up and the topics of Lebanon, banking, governments, and personal finances come up, the conversation can get intense. On that exciting note, I'd like everyone to kindly rise for the American National Anthem, followed by the Lebanese National Anthem. Our first speaker is no stranger to this exact podium, and in staying on topic and relevant to tonight's evening, some of you know him as CEO of Energy International, others as the president of LIBC International, and also as like the guest here tonight, the president and owner of the Dearborn Stars Soccer Club. I'll leave his program because I know the topics he's touching on to speak for themselves. Dr. Ned Fawaz.
Thank you, Rima. We're trying to make this as short as possible. I try, but it looks like it's going to take about 5-7 minutes from me. Honorable guests, our honorable guest, Mr. Raed Sharafoddine, all the honorary members, I will be recognizing most of you. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Assalamu alaikum, as'adtum masa'an, everything else. Before I say a few words, I really would like to recognize some of the group, the leaders who are here, and officials who are here. Every one of you is very important, and everyone should be recognized. And if I were to start, I won't finish. But I'm going to start, and if I miss you, please come back and tell me, because I'll be very happy to recognize you. And we are going through this in the names that the way they arrive, so there's no preference. And please hold your applause. We welcome our General Consul of Lebanon, Mr. Hussam Diab. And I should say he should be our new ambassador. Not here, but I don't know where. He can tell us. Our consul, Bashir To also will be deporting us. It's too bad. We are losing the best two consulates in the whole world. Mr. Abed Haidous, the mayor of Wayne, city of Wayne. I'm just going through the name. عزيز أبو شحية رئيس النادي اللبناني الأمريكي، مدام نوال حمادي المديرة العامة ورئيسة مجلس الإدارة لمؤسسة حمادي للتعليم والتربية، Ustad Fahim Jmail. Fahim Jmail is a guest. I will be introducing him shortly. He is the Vice President of the Lebanese International Business Council. We have with us Mr. Talal Turfi. He is from a very important member of the Task Force of Lebanon. Mr. Ahmad Hamad, the Director of ADC. Zohair Alawi, the President of ADC. Mr. Talal Abbas, he is Mas'ul Harakat Amal, responsible of Amal movement in Michigan or in North America. Mr. Mike Baidoun, he is the Liberian consulate in Michigan. We have Mr. Judge David Turfi. David Turfi is an excellent judge. He is one of our great judges who really made a good name for our community. He is up for election. He needs all the votes he can get, and of course, he needs all your support. Mr. Salim Salami. Salim Salami, you're also running for a judge, aren't you? And Mr. Salim Salami, he needs all your support, and you should be there whatever he asks for to get together and for any support. Mr. Abbas Fawaz, and we have with us Mr. Jamal Dakroob, Amin al-Markaz al-Islami, he's the chairman of the Islamic Center of America, and we have also a good friend of mine, Mr. I don't have the names here. Okay, no, I do want to thank all the media for being here and for supporting us. So I would like you to give them a great big hand and thank you very much. Okay. Most of you, if not all of you, are aware of the LIBC, what it stands for. You have seen it in many activities that has brought to you. It is the Lebanese International Business Council. What stands for is networking together, that bring the people together to support each other, do business with each other, to support the communities that we live in. We do all of that work through networking, through seminars, conferences, and we'll hold them all over the world, in Lebanon, in Central America, in Brazil, in Dubai. And hopefully this year, I want you to know, in July, all of the Lebanese immigrants are invited to come to July, the first 2 weeks of July. We're going to have a great gathering. It's to be a seminar, short seminar, be maybe 3-4 hours, and then after that, we are going to go out, visit Lebanon, go to Baalbek, go to Al-Arz, Al-Janub, Al-Ba'a, Zahle, everywhere. This is going to be a fun trip, and then we have a big gala dinner, and you're going to have music and fun. So ahlan wa sahlan fikum. Arrange, please plan to be in Lebanon the first week of July. This is very important. We are planning on a Made in Lebanon exhibition that's going to take place in the Gulf, either in November or December. We haven't yet announced it, but we will do that. That will be with the cooperation of the Lebanese Ministry of Industry, where we take all the industry of Lebanon to the Gulf and to promote the Lebanese industry. We really bring in many major speakers here to this country. We have with us before Mr. Riyad Salami, you know, the governor of Central Lebanon. All of you attended that evening. It was a great evening. It was something to remember. And the LIBC also support the youth. We support the Dearborn Stars. The Dearborn Star is a Lebanese club that have been established since 1982 by the Lebanese club. But this Dearborn Stars soccer club now is supported by the LIBC. If I was looking for Ali Jawad, he started the club, and we want to thank him. But the LIBC is taking over the Lebanese the soccer club, and they have done a great job. We started with 18 players last year, and we were good enough to win the state at the level that we were playing at, our division that we were playing at. This year, we have now about 50 players, and it's really growing. And I want to thank the board of the soccer club, and I want to thank Susan Haidar, Sam Pirani. He is the coach, and he is one of the best coaches in Michigan. And please, I want the Durban Star to stand up. Please stand up, young man. Thank you. Thank you. We need to support them. We need some sponsorship. This is a very expensive operation, but we need to support these people. So if anybody wants to support youth, this is a good cause. This is really a good cause. So we need your help on that. We stand for education, and we support the youth as well. We have built 2 computer centers in Lebanon, one in Mashghara and one in Tibnin. And this computer center graduate about 700 students every year in computers. They learn how to use computers, they use how to use Excel, email, search, research, all of that. And this is the LIBC USA has done that. And the latest is that we have now raised sufficient money to build the 3rd computer center in Akkar. So the money is available. When I go down the strip, we will meet with the people from Akkar, and we will have the computer center in Akkar. When you go there in July, you should be able to see it and maybe open open for it. Thank you to many members who supported this project. This is a good project for people. Also, we support culture. I want to support the producers of movie. We are supporting the producer of movie. We want to support Mr. Lawrence Hamid Karam. He is here with us. Please stand up. And he is a producer of many movies, and he is here with us, and we will support him as well. Also, we want to support Mr. Adel Sarhan. Mr. Adel Sarhan is the producer of the movie Khallet Wardi. A lot of you heard of it. This is a beautiful movie, fantastic movie, and we are going to bring it into Michigan. It's going to be here on, I believe, the 8th of May. 8, is that correct, Mr. Sarhan? 18. It is 18th of May. Everybody's invited. It is really great. We want to have 1,500 people attending. So let's be ready. And Mr. Adel Sarhan, where are you, Adel? Stand up, please. Thank you, Adel, for being here. I really thank you. I have to take a couple more minutes, but it's okay. We take this as an opportunity. The LIBC is going to be bringing to you an SBA program to tell you how you can do business with the federal government. The federal government is the largest supplier or the largest purchaser in the United States. We want to show you how to do business with the federal government. We want to show you how to start your export business and how to improve your export business. And we want to show you how to obtain loan and get money. That's very, very important to attend. And this is going to take place on April 25th. You'll be receiving an invitation as well. We do work with the government. We work with the government of the United States. We work with the government of Lebanon. We encourage the Lebanese to be the permanent tourism in Lebanon. So this is very important to tell you what what LIBC is doing, and I want to thank you. The important thing is that you become a member. If you're not a member, there's an application form. It's It's easy, fill it, you'll be on the mailing list, we'll invite you, and we really need need to get all the business people and professionals to be with us. This is an elite organization. We want to stay this way, and with you being this an elite group, you should be with us as well. Before I leave, I do want to introduce a good friend of mine. He is the Vice President of the Lebanese International Business Council International, the office in Beirut. See, we have an office in Beirut, that's the Lebanese International Business Council. Then we have branches all over, and we have representatives of about 40 countries. And Akh Fahim, he is a good engineer, he's a good civil engineer. He has a very successful contracting company. He is the vice president of the international organization, and I would like him to kindly come up here and say a few words and introduce our guest speaker. تفضل فهيم. While you're coming up here, I know I want to thank the Al-Majma' Al-Islami, the Islamic Institute of Knowledge, and everybody who is present here. Also thanks the Islamic Center and all the members who are here. Ahlan wa sahlan fikum. And if I missed anybody, please tell me. If you work, you make mistakes. And when I work, I make mistakes as well. Thank you very much.
After this welcome introduction, Dr. Nassib, I don't know if I can follow, but I'm going to try. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I am here to introduce a man who has become a key figure in Lebanon, as well as influential leader in the banking and economic markets. It is critical to understand the circumstances Lebanon is facing right now, not only politically or socially, but also economically. Although Lebanon has flourished throughout the past decade, there is still high levels of unemployment, leading a social injustice and political tension. With 19% of our youth and adults unemployed, it is time for us, the immigrants, to use our power and resources to help expand Lebanon's economic growth and potential. This is one of the many goals of LIBC. LIBC believes that our immigrants play a significant role in aiding the economic development of Lebanon. However, with a lack of support from the Lebanese government in providing immigrants with the rights needed to remain active citizens, harsh boundaries are formed, making it difficult to pursue the goals we have. With the use of global networking, business development, and intervention, educational programming, and the export of cerebral and commerce resources, we have a greater chance of promising a future to our youth living in Lebanon. Myself, NED, and LIBC, we respectfully ask Mr. Sharafoddine to relay the message back to the Lebanese government on our behalf. It is important that we work together and not allow Lebanon to become another victim of the Arab Spring but be an example for other nations and symbolize unity, standing united under the branches of the cedar tree and protected by the stars and stripes of this great nation. As Mr. Sharafoddine speaks, we must listen, learn, and brainstorm on how we can support the economic development in Lebanon and across the entire Middle Eastern region. His background and experience can provide great insight into Lebanon's current situation and what lies ahead in its future. Raed Sharafoddine is the first vice governor of the Banque du Liban, Lebanese Central Bank, since April 2009. He is the alternate governor for Lebanon at the International Monetary Fund and the Arab Monetary Fund, and the alternate chairman of the Capital Markets Authority. Mr. Sharafoddine represents Lebanon at the IFC Committee on Central Bank Statistics located at the Bank for International Settlements, and is the national coordinator for Lebanon participation in the IMF. At Banque du Liban, he chairs the Information Security Management and the Islamic Banking Regulatory Committees as a member of the bank's Central Council. Mr. Sharafoddine is the chairman of the Advisory Council for the Islamic Finance Qualification and a jury panelist in the Lebanese Excellent Award. Mr. Sharafoddine holds master's and bachelor degrees in business administration from the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, USA, and was a visiting lecturer at selected universities in Lebanon, where he facilitated graduate and undergraduate courses in strategic management, leadership, and leading change. He also trained senior staff in many corporations, educational institutions, governmental and non-governmental organizations, and had numerous contributions in national and international forums on the issue of quality, conflict management, peace building, interfaith dialogue, personal and group development. As a lifelong activist in the civil society, Mr. Sharafoddine served as a board member in numerous NGOs dealing with the social justice, organizational, human, and local community development. Prior to assuming his existing responsibility, Mr. Sharafoddine has extensive banking experience of 20 years. He held senior positions, including Deputy General Manager, Regional Manager, and Branch Manager in leading commercial banks, namely Fransa Bank. He just informed me that he opened the branch in my hometown before he, get the position at Fransa Bank. So we thank you for that. And I'm sure Big Faya welcomes you all the time. 2006, you told me that during the war you were able to open it up on time, and you were pleased to open it with Fransa Bank. So we thank you for that. Biblos Bank, as well as Mashra Bank in Dubai. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Raed Sharafoddine.
Thank you, Sheikh, for the introduction. And Dr. Fawaz, thank you very much for the invitation. And for the brothers and sisters who are here, thank you very much for your participation and attendance here. I have some prepared notes for my speech, and I was informed, as a matter of fact, by Dr. Fawaz that there's some interest in knowing more about our position about FATCA, specifically the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act, and this is something I know that it's on lots of people's minds, so we'll address it in the question and answer session. While preparing these notes, actually, it came to my mind, do people know exactly what the central bank does? Any idea? So I thought about just inserting a couple of lines here, what exactly the Central Bank of Lebanon does, or central banks in general do. And then I'll go on in talking a bit about the Lebanese banking sector specifically, and I'll go on and address some of the measures which we have taken at the Central Bank of Lebanon and the results of these measures. By the virtue of the Code of Money and Credit of 1963, عم نحكي Code of Money and Credit يعني قانون النقد والتسليف of 1963. The central banks of Lebanon's basic functions are to safeguard the national currency, promote economic stability, ensure the soundness of the banking system, and develop money and capital markets. Then in 1999, the central banks of Lebanon's duties were expanded to include the regulation and development of payment, clearing, and settlement systems, as well as electronic financial operations. Now, the Lebanese banking sector, and proudly so, can be described as a financially sound, profitable, and well-capitalized banks, thanks to the prudent regulation and supervision of the Central Bank of Lebanon. And here, when I talk about thanks to these measures, I don't thank myself, because this is an organization that has been going on for years, and it has had its share all along. So it's for me and for everybody else with me and before me as well. It has been able to weather various internal and external crises, most notably the recent global financial crisis that has shaken many banking systems in the world. In fact, lessons drawn from our model are similar to many of the recent reforms suggested by international financial regulators. Let me name some few of those. One is less leverage. Two, regulating derivatives and structured products. Three, strengthening banks' capital and liquidity requirements. Four, enhancing the corporate governance and transparency of financial institutions. Five, central bank overseeing all players in the financial market. Six, no defaulting of banks that threaten to shake the systemic stability. And seven, clear distinction between commercial banks and investment banks. As a matter of fact, the Central Bank of Lebanon aims to preserve the banking sector's conventional approach towards monetary policy. And really, we call it the ABCs of banking. For us, commercial banks just have to do basic banking, take deposits and lend out, while any other sophisticated transactions or products have to take care elsewhere. This is why we have investment banks, this is why we have Islamic banks, and this is why we have financial institutions. And fortunately, with the capital market with the law of the capital markets that was recently enacted by the Lebanese parliament, Lebanon will be really the hub, the financial hub that we all aspire for it to be. I would like here to share, as I said, with you few concrete measures. What exactly do we do? So, okay, we know the function. We know what the function of the Central Bank of Lebanon as per the law. We know the Lebanese banks and general idea about the Lebanese banks. Specifically, what is it that we do? One, we maintain the rates of inflation. And inflation in Lebanon, which reached a three-digit figures at the beginning of the 1990s, as you remember, was contained to a one digit over the past many long years. Only in 2008, and due to external factors caused by the global financial crisis, specifically we're talking about oil and imported goods prices, there was a jack, there were high prices, inflation reached 10.8%. But we are very keen that these inflation rates, our target, as a matter of fact, is only 4%. And this is a very, very challenging target, but we're very keen on maintaining it. Over the past year, it was 6%. The previous year, it was 5%. Unfortunately, with the recently approved wage hike, which will penalize inflation by 3%. يعني زيادة الأجور اللي عطوها راح تأثر على inflation in extra 3%. يعني our target is to keep the inflation at 4. فلحد هلا 3% معطينا إياها freebie our politicians للأسف. But we have to deal with their wisdom. The second measure I would like to talk about here is boosting the central bank's foreign assets. BDL's total foreign assets increased from only $3 billion in 1993 to an all-time high exceeding, any idea? في حدا بيتابعنا. Any idea what the central bank reserves are, foreign reserves? Okay, 32. Actually, they're $32 billion currently. So they were only $3 billion. Now, as of March 2012, they are 32. Well, let alone excluding the gold reserve estimates. Any idea how much gold we have? Excluding, gold is separate from the $32 billion.
40.
إن شاء الله ما يصيروا 40 يصير ذهب كتير يجنون حقه. No, they are 17 billion dollars. 3, strengthening the external position. Large capital inflows into the Lebanese economy helped in keeping positive balance of payments over the year. And thanks to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, it really is very important. Your remittances, which keep flowing into Lebanon, is a really great help that helps our balance of payment, and certainly we can channel all these deposits that are coming into our economy, into our banking system. We're channeling it in the right direction, and I'll talk briefly about where exactly and what kind of industries we're channeling it for. Over the past few years, it ranged between $7 and $8 billion between 2008 and between 2009 and 2011. It went between $7 and $8 billion. 4, ensuring a gradual decrease in interest rate. And as you know, this is a very important measure that you can do and maintain as low as we can do. So in the past several years, the central bank has been complying with market tendencies in the determination of interest rates, a growing confidence in the local currency. And I know this is something Dr. Fawaz and I have talked about, and he wanted me to talk some about it specifically, الثقة بالليرة. So this growing confidence in the local currency has resulted in gradually interest rate cuts. The interest rates of loans in Lebanese lira had fallen from 29% in 1993 to merely 7% currently on the average. While the interest rates on one-year treasury bill, as you well know how much it was back in the 90s, early 90s, it was close to 40, and then it came down to 21% as an average. Now, the treasury bills have fallen to around 5%. We're talking about one-year treasury bill. The massive cash injection into the Lebanese market over the past 2 years have helped the interest rate structure to decline even further because of the confidence that people have. And we think we'll maintain the same interest rate structure that we currently have. 5, preserving a sound banking sector. The year 2011 reported a healthy performance as revealed by deposits growing at around 7% and credits rising by more than 14%. حتى أكون specifically, حتى ما تضيعوا بالpercentages, when we talk about 7 or 14% specifically, our deposit base as of the end of 2011 was $123 billion, while the loans was $71 billion, with the total assets of the Lebanese banks at $141 billion. And this is a lot for a country of 4 million people and a GDP of only 45 billion. This is a lot. These figures are really appalling, positively. While this year's activity, مثل ما كنا عم نقول, is 7% in deposits and only 14% in loans. While last year's activity has been satisfactory, it turned out to be relatively less favorable than the previous years. لما كان ساعة الحاكم هون in 2010, it كانت أحسن, much better than what it was last year. At that time, we saw a 10% growth in deposits and 23% growth in credit. Nevertheless, our banking sector is still recording very high liquidity buffers, which is very important, capital levels above the regulatory minimum, and low levels of non-performing loans and stable profits. I would like to mention here a few things about how we deal with being Lebanon, about Lebanese banks, especially those who are in countries who are witnessing some turmoil. As you know, we have Lebanese banks in Syria, in Egypt, elsewhere, but these are the countries which are impacted politically. So we definitely closely monitor the performance. They be operating in these countries, and what we do is what we call stress test. So the engineers do know what stress testing is all about bridges, about what have you. We exactly have the same thing. We do stress testing and take the worst of the scenarios and the best of scenarios. We go with what-if scenarios. So accordingly, we're comfortable with our situation, with our banks in every country they operate. We have no problem, even if the agony is prolonged in each one of these countries they have been working at, or if there were some major losses where they may incur in these countries. But regardless, we definitely are keen that our banks in Lebanon and abroad do abide by international standards on good governance, risk management, transparency, capitalization requirements. We definitely are very keen to keep clear and transparent relationships with the correspondent banks. Something which is of interest, I know it's a bit technical, just one few lines which I would like to talk about, but to see how important it is, how we can think ahead and make sure that our banking system stays and remains robust. Aiming at strengthening the bank's capital funds in order to maintain, attain a capital adequacy ratio of 12% by the year 2015. We don't have to get it now, and this is way tall order. It's very ambitious to get there, but we're starting right from now. The capital adequacy is where we have is only 7% among the Lebanese banks, and it really complies with the international standards. We're talking about Basel III. But we are aiming for this to become gradually at the rate of 12% by the end of 2015. And definitely this sends a very strong message to the signal to the international community. One thing which is an important message that I would like to bring across to you as well is that we have the circulars, lots of circulars which were issued over specifically last year and the year before, which reflects our ongoing and relentless effort to improve the corporate governance, reinforce anti-money laundering measures, and deepen the reputation and supervision of our financial institutions, brokerage firms, and money dealers. Actually, just yesterday at the cabinet, there was a Mashru' Qanun, which we have drafted along with some of the parliamentarians, and specifically we talk about a law which will be enacted soon on cross-border cash, domestic fight against tax evasion, anti-money laundering, and terrorism financing. And they were just yesterday discussed in the cabinet's meeting, and hopefully it will be ratified pretty soon and approved and passed by the parliament. One last comment here, the reinforcing Lebanon's credibility in the international market. The exchange rate stability remains the key in maintaining financial stability. Given the government's high debt and debt service obligations in foreign currencies, since a considerable amount of this debt is dominated by foreign currency. It is true that 65% or 66%, 66+% is in Lebanese lira, which poses no threat whatsoever because we are the central bank. Unfortunately, we have most of our debt is in Lebanese lira. And fortunately, our banks do subscribe. So we don't have much problem by somebody from abroad coming over and to take our treasury bills. But still, it's a very alarming, and this is something that we watch very carefully. Fortunately, Lebanon has never defaulted ever, even in the worst of situations. Lebanon has never defaulted, and we have this on in meeting any of our debt obligations, even difficult times. And this is something which has to be, which is looked at very positively as a no default score or no default record by the international community. The last point here I would like to say, the Lebanese economy has been remarkably resilient against major political, security, and economic shocks, which proves the effectiveness of the monetary policy and financial stability measures which the Central Bank of Lebanon has been undergoing. Thank you very much. think we have time for a few questions. ولا بدك أنا بلش الموضوع؟ Okay. There is lots of concern here in the community that I came to know. I've got lots of friends here who have asked me about several questions. So I'll address it in a formal and informal way. There's something called the FATCA. FATCA stands for Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. And what FATCA is, it's actually, it was signed. It's an act. It's a compliance act, which was signed into U.S. law on March 18, 2010, as part of the Hire Act. FATCA provisions are new U.S. rules designed to discourage tax evasion by U.S. citizens and residents. It really introduces a concept of FFI, which is the Foreign Financial Institution, and this is any financial intermediary. So FFI can be banks, can be investment companies, asset brokers, asset managers, brokers, and certain insurance companies. And there's a categorization of insurance companies because some insurance companies, it depends upon the plans they have. If it's an income growth plan, is included part of FATCA as well. Under the FATCA, any FFI, we're talking about these financial institutions, may enter into an agreement with the U.S. tax authority, we're talking about the IRS, requiring it to report information on the FFI's U.S. accounts. Now, the proposed regulations providing guidelines for implementing FATCA was issued by the IRS on February 8, 2012. It's rather interesting. I have here a timeline on how it has to go. In February 2012, they published the draft public regulation. Mid-2012, they will publish the final regulation. In January 1st, 2013, FATCA becomes effective. And then the 30th of June 2013, they enter into FFI agreement with these, as I said, the banks and what have you. And then it goes on until January 1st, 2017. Now, what's important it's what really of concern to you, I know, is what exactly, how would that impact you? Well, definitely what I would say is that we have every intention, the Lebanese Central Bank has every intention to comply with any international regulations. We understand that this is a U.S. law, and it's not a United Nations law. But we certainly all know how important that is. And we have no intention whatsoever of jeopardizing the Lebanese banking system by not complying to laws. But how can Lebanon comply with the U.S. law? Simply by going into agreement with them. Now, what kind of agreement? This is what we have been discussing. We did not get to a final arrangement yet. Some banks in Europe went directly and signed up. Some FFIs went and directly signed up with the IRS. Some banks, the central banks of some countries, did go into an agreement with the IRS. And this is the tendency that we have. We have a banking secrecy law in Lebanon, and this is something which is an important pillar, a major pillar in our Lebanese banking sector, which we are very keen on keeping. At the same time, we are very keen on complying with international regulations. There's an idea about the possibility of the AMF. The AMF is the Arab Monetary Fund, which is all the central banks of the Arab countries, of all 22 Arab countries. So would the arrangement between the IRS and the Central Bank of Lebanon, or would the arrangement be between the IRS and the Arab Monetary Fund, which is all the central banks of the Arab world, is something which is under consideration. I cannot tell you much at this stage because we don't have much, except the idea that we're just looking at it and we're weighing it to make sure that the issues that we have talked about, from one thing is the compliance, but at the same time it is the integrity of banking system and the banking secrecy. If and when anything happens, we have time anyway. If and when anything happens, everyone will be informed. We're very keen on posting the information on our website, and we'll be talking about it, and where everybody's interest be Lebanon, the United States, and you will be in the heart of whatever we do.
I have two questions. One
Please.
is, what happened to the banking secrecy and how this could take place? And what are they going to report? What do they report? And how can they report when there's a banking secrecy?
Sure. Well, this is something, the banking secrecy is something that we have every intention of keeping. This is why we need to discuss, to go into hardcore negotiation of understanding exactly what this act entails. And there are lots of measures, as a matter of fact, at this stage in Lebanon that curtail or do not allow for lots of the tax evasion actions. We have a law 138 already. We have lots of, if there's anything which is unusual and anything which is suspicious, we have the Special Investigation Commission, which kicks in. The Special Investigation Commission is an independent body, اللي هي Financial Information Unit, that kicks in and helps out in that. تفضل.
An example, if I have an apartment in Lebanon I want to sell, and I sold it for $100,000, and I kept the money in France bank, does that mean you have to report that $100,000 to the IRS as an income, or, you know?
To start with, I'm no longer in France bank, by the way. I used to be. So there's no special favors. I worked there. I was proud to be for my association with them, but I no longer work there. As a regulator, there's a conflict of interest. I can never be neither an executive or a board member in any bank. But as an example, so بس حبيت إنه on the top of your head. I would rather refrain from answering specific questions at this stage because we are in negotiation. So I would rather answer it some other time where we have a complete picture.
As a follow-up,
Sure.
I sent $10,000 to my mother.
Right.
Does that mean I got to report it?
See, there's something here that they call 30% withholding. Now, what is it they would withhold? 30% on that 10,000? Or what if you did actually sell off $100,000 of your treasury bills and send it? So what will count? So we do have as many questions as you do. This is why we'll just hopefully we'll do something either in our website or when we come back and discuss it, when we have all the answers. I don't have them.
Can you tell us what they're asking to report?
I think you have all the CPAs here know better. You have to report lots of things. So we have lots of CPAs right here in this room, and they already started with the forms, and they're asking all kinds of questions here. Now, how would that reflect on Lebanon or the account opening form? This is something that we're discussing. As I say, I don't want to mention any half-baked answers because they really are half-baked. تفضل.
Is it true that the Lebanese currency got affected with the issues that's happening in Syria? And number two, if someone has money in banks in Lebanon, and the United States requests from Lebanon to close their assets, does Lebanon does that, especially if the money was done in Lebanon, if they have business in Lebanon, not in the United States? How does it work?
The Lebanese lira was not affected by the events happening in Syria whatsoever. It is the Syrian currency which got impacted, but we do not deal with Syrian currency. Accordingly, Lebanese lira did not get impacted in any way, shape, or form. As for the any legal, if there's any problem with any account, and it's not, we have to investigate it ourselves. It's not like anyone who asks us to freeze somebody's account. We can do it. If there's a suspicion about a certain account, as I mentioned before, the Special Investigation Commission kicks in. They investigate it thoroughly, and it's impressive how they investigate it. I've seen the way they operate. It's amazing. They know they can account for every single movement of any of these accounts, to and from, frequency, numbers, etc. And accordingly, they can determine if there's a suspicion. If there's a suspicion in that account, we send it over to the Attorney General, Niyab al-Aam, Niyab al-Aam, Attorney General. So so temporarily that gets freezed, but the Attorney General is the authority which determines that that should be complete freeze or not. So it's not like anybody who asks us for anything, we just go out and comply with it. There's a process that we go with, that we go by and respect and abide by, and accordingly we take our decision. There was a question in the back. Thank you very much. The question for those who haven't answered, who haven't heard it, what does the Lebanese banks, what do they do to the middle class in Lebanon? Very interesting question. And this is a question which I have posed on myself, and for a lecture which I did in Vintage Vale about a couple of years ago. There are lots of regulations over the past several years, specifically past 3 years. We've done all kinds of exemptions against the statutory reserves, يعني الاحتياط الإلزامي, we call it in Arabic. For any banks who go on and lend their money to any Lebanese people working and willing to start up their businesses, want to go to any kind of business. At some point, there were some industries which were supported by kafalat, but 2009 onwards, we opened it up to any kind of industry, any kind of business. In addition to this, the environmental dimension, we were keen to add in the environmental dimension. So all these regulations, all these circulars were placed in all these ideas were placed in a circular, and we have incented the commercial banks to help out and lend out. And but just technically, if we do this, the exemption, that means the interest rate will be lower. So these commercial banks can pass on this reduction in interest to the consumer. And this is why we had, just last year, we had 100,000 people who have benefited from housing loans in the Lebanese sector as a whole, and 13,000 businesses, small and large businesses who benefited from these exemptions. May I say something? Excuse me. As a follow-up to this, mind you, the central bank, this is not our job to start with. This is the job of the government. It is specifically, it's the job of the Ministry of Finance. It is for them to try to come up with a vision, develop a vision, and that vision has to be translated into economic ideas or economic initiatives, and then they can enlarge the economy, and accordingly they can get more taxes, more revenues, and we can flourish. So we're doing the best we can within our own context. Sorry.
You mentioned earlier that the recent increase in minimum wage is going to hike up the inflation rate
True.
by 3 points.
Right.
And
Extra 3 points, yeah.
Yeah, I felt from your word that you are not in favor of that move. What do you think, in your opinion, would have been a better approach to fix the issue of the minimum wage? Since it is kind of
Minimum wage had to be, thank you. Minimum wage had to be fixed anyway, but it could have been fixed smarter. And it could have been fixed relatively, not one shot. So there were lots of ideas that could have been done. As a matter of fact, initially, the initial proposal by our politicians, had they gone for the initial idea, you'd have seen the inflation rates 10%. So an extra 5 to 7%. Because that mass of cash, so what we're talking about here, if you give that much money, all of a sudden an inflow of cash gets into the economy. And that, it will really suffocate the economy. And this is why the prices get up. So initially it would go to extra, it would just easily go to 10%. They adjusted it in a way, but I would have definitely done it, but in a gradual form and in a smarter way. Specifically, we're talking about the brackets, and specifically not every one of the categories within the salary structure. The Sadr Foundation in Lebanon is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And over the past 50 years, the contribution has been positive in every way we do. As you all well know, that the Sadr Foundation is a multi-faceted organization. We have education, we have capacity building, we have social We have health centers, social programs and health centers, local community development, and what we call مؤسسات فكرية, so institutional institutions, intellectual institutions. شايف؟ Beyond culture, it's more intellectual. So we're talking about the المركز الإمام الصدر للأبحاث والدراسات. We're talking about researches and studies. So what we have, the Sadr Foundation has impacted the lives of people in so many different ways. We're very proud of the way we approach our business, the way we bring up our kids, mostly girls, by the way. So most of the people who are within the foundation, who are benefit from the programs, are girls so far. Definitely our 8 socio-cultural, socio-medical centers, which are spread out from all ages, from all races, from all genders, from all religions. I'm sorry to say that, are served. So the foundation has had that mindset which puts in its people, that mindset which the Sadr style. Imam Sadr, as you well know, was the first to get into a church in 1975. These days, نحن بأيام الصوم, in the Lent season. And actually he was the first was and nobody else went into a church and delivered a sermon in a church, and that was in 1975. So this type of mindset that we try to instill in our kids, mindset of openness, mindset of acceptance, of diversity, mindset of muwataniyya, and how that can help us out and we can go to serve our country better. There are lots of programs that we have, and every one of these programs that Sitra Bab has talked about last Saturday in the programs, and the quality of these programs, and how they impact the people's lives. As far as the capacity building of the foundations, we have 80% of the workers are ladies as well. Actually, if you see us, we are very feminist, and we're very proud to be feminist, because we believe women have a very active role in the society. They are the mothers, they are the ones who bring up. And this is something that we have been targeting all along. Civil society, the Sadr Foundation alone does not operate in vacuum. We operate along with lots of other partners in Lebanese and non-Lebanese NGOs as well. We have partnered with lots of international bodies. As you all well know, that the Imam Sadr Foundation is a member of the United Nations ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council, and that's in recognition for its role in whatever it does. The local community development, we go out and train, and we go out and capacity building, and bring and instill that pride in people and in their capacities. So that's a quick nutshell. I don't know if I have time. Thank you very much.
I want to mention to you that Congressman John Conyers just came in. He had to go on an emergency call. He sends his regards to Mr. Raed Sharafoddine and to all of you. That was John Conyers. I want to thank a couple more organizations that are here. Sadr Foundation, thank you for being here, for supporting us. Mohammed Bandar and the rest of the group. We have مؤسسة الإمام الصادق, Sayyid Hussein Fawaz. الجامعة الثقافية في العالم, السيد محمد, الأستاذ محمد علوي. حركة أمل, all of you, أهلا وسهلا فيكم. Of course, ADC, أعضاء المجمع الإسلامي, my brother, الأخ موسى أدوح, النادي اللبناني الأمريكي, and thank you for our guest from HR Block. أهلا وسهلا في HR Block. I appreciated you being here. Finally, the food is prepared by Yusuf. Yusuf, where are you? Thank you very much, Yusuf. This is a wonderful place. This is the community place. Yusuf does it. We can have a nice dinner. Enjoy it. Bismillah.
ممكن تعرفنا عن حالك؟
هاني مرتضى.
من خلال الحفل الليلي لاحظنا انه تم الحديث عن اهميه انتباه بالنسبه لتحويل الاموال من امريكا للبنان، وخاصه من قبل المغتربين. حضرتك كمغترب لبناني عايش بامريكا، هل حسيت انه هلا صار عندك تخوف بظل القوانين الجديده عم تطلع من الحكومه الامريكانيه انك تحول اي مبلغ على لبنان؟
والله هو التخوف الوحيد انه الواحد ما يكون ملم يعني بالاشياء القانونيه اللي بتطلع. فاهم شيء انه نحن نكون اكيدين من الاوانين عشان ما نعمل شيء غلط ونكون نحن تحت القانون. فايام كثير بتطلع قوانين ما بيكون الجالي عارفه فيها وبصير في عندك ضحايا. فنحن اهم شيء انه نكون نحن عندنا معرفه بالقوانين بامريكا وبلبنان من الجانب اللبناني، بحال نحن كان القانون يعني لازم يكون بينطبق على الأملاك المالية أو الأملاك العقارية للي بلبنان مثل ما سمعنا اليوم.
شو النصيحة اللي بتحب تقدمها للبنوك بلبنان من حيث تقديم الخدمات للشعب اللبناني؟
والله النصيحة هي أنه يحاولوا يعطوا قروض مخفضة بالنسبة للفايدة لأصحاب الدخل المتوسط ليقدروا يمتلكوا شقق سكنية.
شكرا جزيلا.
تكرمي.
يسعدنا نلتقي اليوم مع السيد زهير علوي the president of ADC. أهلا وسهلا فيك أستاذ علوي.
يا اهلا وسهلا فيك، يا اهلين.
طيب بالنسبة لحفلة الليلة عم يحكوا كتير عن البنوك وعن التحويلات والجالي العربي، وكونك أنت بالADC هل عم بتواجهكم أي مشاكل من الجالي من حيث إنه إذا أي حدا حول مصاري ممكن يفرزوا له أمواله، يمكن هذا بيتعامل مع الإرهاب، هل صار معكم مشاكل من الناحية؟
يعني الحقيقه بتعرفي انه في مشاكل كثير على هذا المستوى، ومرات ممكن انه تستعمل ادنى الادله لحتى تلزق بالشخص اكبر الاتهامات. في مسائل بتتم مرات بدون ما حدا يسال عنها، بس اذا كان شخص مقصود او انه مطلوب فبيدوروا على اتفه الاشياء لحتى يعملوا منها قضيه، يعملوا منها بيج ديل. هلا نحن بننصح كل الاخوه، كل الشباب، كل البزنسمانيه انه ياخذوا بعين الاعتبار القوانين الامريكيه السائده. كامريكيين وكمقيمين في امريكا علينا انه نحترم القوانين ونحاول نوفق يعني بين علاقتنا ببلدنا كمواطنين وبين علاقتنا بهذا البلد اللي صرنا فيه كمان مواطنين. فهالتوفيق لا شك بانه صعب، ولكن على طول في مجال انه البني ادم يحترم القوانين بالبلد اللي هو مقيم فيها والقوانين بالبلد اللي هو بينتسب لها.
طب هل انت بتأيد الحكومة الامريكانية بالطلب انه هي بدها تطلب من البنوك اللبنانية انها تتم تجميد الاموال الخاصة باللبنانيين المتهمين؟
يعني الحقيقه اذا كان واحد متهم نحن ما بامكاننا نجي نقول انه هذا البني ادم بريء، ولكن نحن نطلب من السلطات الامريكيه انه تتعامل مع كل الناس على اساس القانون اللي هي وضعته، انه كل الناس ابرياء حتى تثبت ادانتهم. ولكن للاسف بعض القوانين الامريكيه صارت تتعامل مع كل الناس على اساس انه هن مدانين وبدهم يروحوا يثبتوا براءتهم، وهيدا ضد مبادئ العداله بكثير من الاحيان. ولكن هذا الواقع اللي قائم. الحقيقه نحن ندعي الحكومه الامريكيه على انه تطلع بعين العدل، تطلع بعين القيم اللي هي ارست قواعدها، تطلع بعين المساواه، يعني ما تفرق بين مواطنينا. اذا كان بينتسب لهذا المعسكر فبتتعاطى معه بطريقه، وبتتعاطى مع بني ادم بينتسب او بيفكر او انه يحس. صاروا البني ادمين يحاسبوهم على اساس النوايا وعلى اساس احاسيسهم، وهذا غلط كبير.
طيب بالنسبة على الصعيد اللبناني شو الملاحظة اللي بتحب توجهها للبنوك اللبنانية بالنسبة بما يخص المغترب اللبناني؟
يعني أنا كان عمال يحكي الأستاذ رائد شرف الدين وهو نائب حاكم مصرف لبنان. أنا كنت بدي أتساءل إنه هل يا ترى لو افترضنا طلبت الاتحاد السوفيتي من البنوك اللبنانية إنه تقدم لهم كشف باسماء اللبنانيين المستثمرين هونيك، كان راح بيكون عندهم نفس الحساسيه اللي هي عندهم اياها وقت اللي تطلب منهم امريكا؟ لا يجوز بانه هذا العالم يضلوا محكوم بالقطب الواحد، ولا يجوز انه نحن نتخلى عن قيمنا الماليه اذا لو افترضنا طلب منا ذلك. في عندنا نحن في لبنان السريه المصرفيه اللي انا برايي انه وحده من القواعد المقدسه اللي لازم تبقى البنوك اللبنانيه والمصرف المركزي ملتزم فيها لحتى يحفظ حق الناس اللي عمال تستثمر، وحق الناس اللي عمال تبعت اموالها، وحق الناس اللي عماله تحط حسابات وعمال تفتح حسابات بلبنان.
طيب هل تتوقع ان الاحداث اللي صارت خاصه بسوريا اثرت على الاستثمار بلبنان؟
أنا بعتقد أنه سوريا تأثرت بالأحداث اللي صارت، يعني بالعكس أنه سوريا هي اللي عملت تأثر. لبنان يمكن رح يتأثر على مستوى الصادرات اللي كانت تمرق من خلال سوريا واللي بعدها عمالة تمرق بشكل عام لبعض البلدان العربية، ولكن سوريا تأثرت نتيجة التضييق اللي صار عليها وعلى أسواقها وإلى ما هنالك.
يسعدنا نلتقي اليوم السيد نت فواز President of Lebanese International Business Council. Good evening.
Good evening.
اول شيء بشكركم كثير على الحفله المميزه الحلوه كثير، واحكي لنا شوي شو كانت ابرز البرامج او الفعاليات اللي عملتها ال اي بي سي.
اولا مشان نقول مين الاي بي سي، هي اللبنيز انترناشونال بزنس كونسل، وهي المجلس الاغترابي اللبناني لرجال الاعمال، واهدافه جمع رجال الاعمال والبروفيشنالز متخصصين في بلاد العالم كلهم بمؤسسه واحده. هون ال اي بي سي يو اس اي فرع من الانترناشونال اللي هو بيروت، وكل مؤسسه في بلدها عندها مشاريعها الخاصه. نحن هون في ميشيغان ندعو متكلمين، مثلا دعينا الاستاذ رياض سلامي، هو حاكم البنك المركزي في لبنان، وهو يمكن اليوم اشهر حاكم بنك مركزي في العالم بالطريقه اللي تعاون فيها مع البنك المركزي لتحسين الوضع المالي في لبنان، وكانت رائعه جدا. ومن هنا أخذنا إلى عدة جامعات وخاصة يونيفرسيتي اوف ميشيغان وتكلم هناك، وكان إلى روع مهم. المهم هو المجلس أنه أن يحافظ على سمعة لبنان ويساعد لبنان اقتصاديا واجتماعيا. نحن اليوم عم نقوم بمساعدة المخرجين اللبنانيين للأفلام، وإن شاء الله راح يكون عندنا فيلم خلت وردي ب 18 ابريل في السيفيك سنتر لنشر الثقافه. نفس الشيء عندنا كان مهمين هي ايجاد فريق رياضي، والفريق الرياضي اللي عندنا اسمه ديربون ستار.
لاحظنا بقى طن حديثك انه اليوم كان في على الطاولات بروشور عم تحكي عن ديربون ستارز، ممكن تحكي لنا شوي عنها لو سمحت؟
يا اكيد، ديربون ستار هي مؤسسه كانت موجودة للشباب والرياضة، لكن كانت وصلت لوقت كانت راح تسكر، فاجت الاي بي سي المؤسسة هذه استلمت هذه المؤسسة، واليوم كان فيها 15 16 لاعب. نحن اخذناهم صاروا اليوم بيطلع 50 لاعب شاب اللي هن بيلعبوا ساكر، وبنفس الوقت ان ربحوا جائزة ميشيغان السنة الماضية في الديفيجن بي، واليوم صار عندنا ديفيجن اي، وان شاء الله بنربح ميشيغان مره ثانيه ونربح الميد ويست.
طيب كونك بريزيدنت اوف ال اي بي سي، شو النصيحه اللي بتقدمها للشباب اللي حابين يفوتوا بالمعترك البزنس والاستثمار خاصه بامريكا او بلبنان؟
اول شيء اهم شيء انه يكون في الواحد عنده ثقافه، يعني يكون عنده شهاده جامعيه. اليوم بدون شهاده جامعيه ما فيك تعمل شيء، الحقيقه قليل ما فيك تعمل، لكن لما بكون الواحد عنده شهاده جامعيه النجاح بيكون 100% تقريبا كامل. النصيحه انه يكونوا صادقين في عملهم، ولازم يكون في 3 أسس مهمه للنجاح. اولا العلم، المعرفه، يعرف الحق اللي بده يدخل فيه. ثانيا بده يشتغل يعني يشتغل بطريقه مهمه جدا. يعني كيف بده يشتغل بقدره بدون تعب. هيدي اذا ما بيشتغل الانسان ما بيعطي نتيجه. ثالث شيء ان يكون مستقيم، ان يكون مستقيم في عمله حتى العالم يحترموه ويقدروه ويشتغلوا معه ويرجعوا له عنده. اذا الواحد بيمشي بهالثلاث امور هيدي، العمل دائم، المعرفه والاستقامه، لازم ينجح.
طب هل ال اي بي سي بتقدم اني كونسلتنج استشاره لاي حدا حاب يفيت من معترك البزنس؟
بنقدم، ومش بس بنقدم استشاره، اذا كان من الضروري بنساعد في الاموال. ممكن انه نعطي لونز للشباب 10 15 20 ألف دولار منشان نبتدئ البزنس فيها. واذا كان بحاجه اكثر من هيك انا بساعده في الاس بي اي سمول بزنس ادمنستريشن، لانه انا مسؤول عن ولايه ميشيغان بالاس بي اي، ومستعدين نعاونه ويقدر يفتح بزنس جديد او يساعد البزنس تبعه.
بتمنى لكم دائما التوفيق والنجاح بكل شيء بتعملوه، ونصيحه بتحب تقدمها للجيل الجديد اللي عايش بامريكا؟
ابتعدوا عن المخدرات، ابتعدوا عن الكحول، ابتعدوا عن الاعمال السيئه، اتعلموا، روحوا للجامعات، وديروا بالكم على اهلكم.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.